we're talking about the small restaurants that are really the heart of our community. I was on a call with the local chamber yesterday, and a woman talking about the restaurant she owned. From the very beginning, the governor's shutdown order came the day after they'd placed their entire food order for the week. So $4,000 worth of food that they had hoped to sell, they ended up distributing to the 2/3 of their employees they were forced to furlough. They're paying twice as much for gloves. They're paying hugely increased costs for food, the basic commodities, because of the way the pandemic has affected our food chain. And these are the people we see every day. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to continue to employ their workers. The restaurant industry employs 160,000 people in this state and returns close to $9 billion to the state in sales tax revenue. These are the kind of industry is the wrong word. These are the kind of businesses, the kind of individuals we need to support.
These issues aren't partisan and they should be bipartisan. I think it's important today to begin this conversation because there is a sense of urgency that our caucus is feeling from these industries, from the restaurants, from the workers, especially going into the holiday season, where they've seen a sharp decline in patronage, that we want to make sure that everyone shares this sense of urgency.
Looking at this time of year, I mean, all my local restaurants would be packed. There would be, groups going out, office parties, all those things. I mean, typically, even at the small museum that I run, we'll have an event for our employees. None of that is happening now. And as Representative Candelora said, there is a sense of urgency.
When the DECD rolled out their $5,000 grant program, which those checks are rolling out, I think, toward the end of the month. They haven't been released yet. That program had 18,000 applicants. Only 55% are going to be able to even receive grants. And so this is going to do two things. I mean, one, it's going to provide relief for restaurants. It's also going to gauge how bad Connecticut is really suffering in this area, which I don't think we truly understand. And the fact that that grant program was shut down after only, I think, a couple days or maybe one day of it being open for applicants, and even shutting it down that quickly, only about 50% are going to see a benefit, just tells you how much our economy really is suffering. Licenses could range anywhere from $100 to $500, depending on the districts. And similarly, the liquor permit fees have a similar range. It could be anywhere from $600 to $2,000. Depending on what permits they hold. So, we're talking roughly probably anywhere from a $400 relief to a $1,000 relief. But, what it does recognize is that, if government is restricting a business's ability to operate, they shouldn't add insult by charging a fee on top of that. So I think it's not just the money that's saved, it's also the message that government sends to these industries. They recognize the fact that if you're being restricted or shut down, you shouldn't have to pay all those fees to the government that's associated with that shutdown.
Associated with the fees as well are late penalties if you don't have them in on time. And again, if you're busy trying to keep your business afloat, the fee is adding insult to injury. And if you simply don't have the funds and are then punished because you don't have the funds because government has affected your ability to create the revenue to pay that, then yeah, I think we owe them at least this much.
Connecticut is one of the few that have put very little money toward the private sector. So to the extent that the federal government gives the state of Connecticut more state dollars, I'm hoping that that gets directed appropriately to industries that are really suffering beyond healthcare, because other states like Georgia put $1.5 billion into their unemployment compensation fund, and Connecticut has done nothing. So right now, I think our focus needs to be the private sector, especially going into the next 2 months where we are looking at a huge restriction in certain areas of our economy, like the restaurant industry.